All right, let's get started. Couple technical issues there. I apologize, guys. I'm going to work on that for the next one. The Founder Standard Sunny Reflection Call. Welcome, everyone. Very exciting calls for me, especially because not only am I obviously doing this for myself, it's a routine that works so well for me. I'm able to now share it, right? So for me, it's a great feeling to be able to offer a lot of value. Title: The 7 Pillar Founder Webinar, what you need to refocus, reconnect, and reset before your next week so that you can build. So before we get into it, I'm going to let you guys know the format of tonight's call. Also going to mention now, as we wait for a couple more people to sign in here, now's a good opportunity to make some green tea, some tea, grab a drink, an electrolyte. We're going to do 30 minutes, a 30-minute presentation for you guys, and then we're going to do a 30-minute Q&A. If nobody has any questions, we'll confirm that nobody has any questions, and we will wrap it up. That is how it's going to work. All right, so recap. In the next 30 minutes, I'm going to walk you through the exact 7 pillars I use every single week to reset my own identity, my discipline, my business, all of this before this week gets away from me. So, and before it gets away from you too. Now, the whole purpose of this is the second you break a habit or you break a routine, you're immediately met with stress, resistance, and overwhelm, and you just can't think clearly. We all want to be high performers, right? And in order to do so, we do need a solid rhythm, flow, structure, whatever you want to call it, to follow that's proven to work. And the beauty of it, it's like AI. If you guys have any experience making agents, it's like you set up the structure of your agent, you give it the identity, and then you constantly train it and build on top small little changes that stack on top. Every single week, what I do, not to get sidetracked into Claude agents or anything like that, but every single week we do a review. It's the exact same structure as these calls. So what we do is we essentially go through a presentation like this with our own agent, which is our own new person, right? Our own new employee, if you will. And we audit it and we strengthen its identity, its purpose. We add skills to it to make it more disciplined. Very small changes every single week. And then fast forward, 20 weeks, 30 weeks, 40 weeks, we have an absolute power horse. And that is what we're going to do with you guys. Okay, so I want you guys to get in the habit during these calls. You all should have a beautiful little journal with a pen. And I want you to write down a couple things. They're very important to write down. My mentor says, what's not caught is not taught. There's something about putting pen to paper that wires your brain and triggers your brain for alertness. So 4 keywords, write these down: refocus, reconnect, reevaluate, rebuild. This is your North Star. So anytime you guys are feeling lost or overwhelmed or stressed, your North Star is going to be to refocus, reconnect, reevaluate, rebuild. So the goal of this call every single week is simple: to make you happier, healthier, and wiser week after week. We already went through the format. Let's get into it. First thing I'd like you guys to do, because this is about making you extremely efficient and productive. So write down one thing that you wish you got done this week. We're talking from Monday to this day, Sunday. You're going to write that one thing down that you wish you got done. And that is going to be the very first thing you guys get done tomorrow morning, either before your workday starts. At some point, it has to be your top priority item. I don't really care what it is. It might have limitations, like, for instance, you forgot to go into the bank. Well, you might have to wait to get into the bank. That has to be a top priority Without a doubt, 100%, it needs to be completed and checked at least before noon on Monday. Okay. So write that down. Make that an absolute promise to yourself. So tonight's purpose, we're not here to add more to your plate tonight. At least this isn't. I absolutely am. I'm here to add more to your plate because this is serious, right? So we're here to strip away the noise and reconnect with what actually matters. Elon Musk just recently, I read a little post where essentially he has zero noise in his life. He is so unbelievably productive and efficient. There's zero distractions. So to give you guys another example, really good habit to get into, work on one thing at a time. Make sure that when you're working on something, you have a timer or a block to work on one thing only and only have your one tab open or whatever tabs you need required for that one task. Do not have 30 different tabs open on 3 different monitors. If you look at really highly efficient CEOs, I should say, they have 1 to 2 monitors. They're running an entire $1 billion business off of a laptop and a 1080p webcam like this one right here. So you're very powerful when you have systems in place. You do not need all this fancy tech. So 3 words I want you guys to remember, remember, remember. This is a trick question because you guys should know it's actually 4 words. Refocus, reconnect, reevaluate. That is going to be the pattern so that you can rebuild. Refocus your attention on what actually deserves it this week. Reconnect with your purpose and the vision behind why you're building any of this at all. Reevaluate your values, your habits, your discipline, and the identity you're operating from right now. The week ahead only goes as well as the standard you set for it tonight, right here before Monday hits. So ask the room. Write down one thing you wish you got done last week, but didn't. Hold on to it. We'll circle back to it during reflection at the end. So we've already actually gone through that. 7 pillars in this week's rhythm. Monday, you guys know the pillars. Identity. Everything you do this week flows downstream from who you believe you are, not what you know or what skills you have. Most founders try to change their result without ever touching their identity. That's why the change doesn't stick. Identity isn't a mood, it's a decision you make and then act like it's already true. So, I don't want to public speak. I'm not confident. Well, you're not confident, right? Pretty easy to say, you know what, I'm going to speak like I'm confident. I'm going to believe that I'm confident. And I'm going to believe that everybody hearing me is going to look at me as if I'm confident. You really need to jump into that new identity. We'll give you another really great example. I'm not a morning person, never have been. One day I decided I'm going to be a morning person. Even though waking up at 4 in the morning, I felt like absolute dog crap, as if I wasn't a morning person. I still got up and out of bed. And I did that over and over and over and over and over to the point where I'm like, it's no longer even a habit. It's just automatic. So like everybody tells me that I'm a morning person, even though deep inside I don't feel like one. It's my new identity, right? So you want to change, write down who you want to be, start acting like that person, and you will adopt that new person. So the gap between who you are and who you want to be closes through evidence. Hope you guys understand how that works, right? So I'm a morning person, and then 7 days in a row I sleep until 11. I'm not a morning person, right? But if I say, hey, I'm going to be a morning person, and 7 days in a row I wake up at 4 in the morning, there's a lot of evidence showing that I'm pretty disciplined and looks like I'm probably a morning person, right? So create the evidence. That's how you actually build confidence. So closes through evidence, not intention. Small proof points stacked daily. So, is a person I'm becoming someone I trust to run my business, this family, or this life? Right? I have all these goals in life. Do I trust this new identity to handle it? Your habits are just votes for the identity you're building. Every action either confirms or contradicts it. So here's a challenge. Before you act this week, ask, what would the person I'm becoming do here? Not what do I feel like doing? A reminder, discipline is easy when identity is settled. Discipline is exhausting when identity is still up for debate. Let's move on to Tuesday. Motivation is a feeling. Tuesday, guys, we talk about discipline on Tuesdays. It's the second pillar. Identity first, then we work on discipline, right? Then we work on fitness. There's a structure to it, and you'll understand at the end of this. But motivation is a feeling. It comes and goes with sleep, weather, and mood. Discipline is what's left standing when motivation checks out. Discipline is not about intensity. It's about consistency under boring, repeated conditions. So here's a couple talking points. Pick one non-negotiable for this week, not 5. One thing you will not skip regardless of how the day goes. A lot of people think their day is over because they slept in, right? They wanted to do something early in the morning, they slept in, they write it off to the next day. You know that you could still get that thing done, right? Just because you didn't get it done at 4 in the morning or 4:45 in the morning doesn't mean that you can't get it done at 7 in the evening. It's really important to note that, because at the end of the day, what matters is what got done. So the standard isn't tested on your best day, it's tested on the day you're tired, behind, and don't feel like it. Discipline compounds silently. No one sees week 1. Everyone sees year 1. So what's the habit you keep promising yourself you'll restart on Monday that never actually restarts? Now, here's a reframe rule that I love to use. Discipline isn't punishment. It's just how you keep a promise to the person you're becoming. So how much do you respect yourself? Practical tool, stack the non-negotiable onto something that you already do every day, so it doesn't rely on willpower alone. So you want to drink water every single morning. You always forget, tie it to brushing your teeth. Do it immediately before you brush your teeth, right? Have a glass of water, have a Brita filter and a cup of water right by your toothpaste, right? With a sticky note on it. Don't forget, or this is your identity. This is your new identity. Something, right? Reminders. So Wednesday, we talk about fitness. If you guys do not have the health to actually implement your identity and your disciplinary habits, you're going to struggle as well. If you're going to be tired all the time, it's going to be very difficult. So Wednesday fitness, Deer Lake walk, 6:45 a.m. This is the anchor habit of the week for a reason. This is my anchor habit. That's why we have it on Wednesdays. There's a lot of thought behind this. Your body is one asset that sets the ceiling on every other pillar: energy, focus, mood, patience with your family, decision, quality at work. So here's a few talking points. You can't out strategize a body that's exhausted, underslept, or inflamed. Physical health is the multiplier on everything else you're building. So, am I training like my future actually depends on it? Because it does. This isn't about aesthetics, it's about capacity, the ability to absorb stress without breaking. You guys understand that the healthier your body and mind is, the more stress and resistance and friction you can manage. Entrepreneurship is there's a lot of tests, right? It really tests your willpower, your stress levels, your nervous system. The more built up of a foundation that we have, the more resistant we will be able to be. So this is where the whole cold water um, ice bath came from, right? It's horrible, 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 horrible. You train your nervous system that immediate jolt of, oh my God, it's freezing. You train your nervous system to expect it so that the 10th time and the 100th time, you still feel that shock. Your nervous system doesn't react as strongly to it. So this isn't about a sex or capacity. Already went through that. Small commitment beats sporadic intensity. A daily walk beats a gym binge. You quit by week 2. So, challenge for the week: protect one non negotiable movement window daily. Treat it like a client meeting you can't cancel. And here's a reminder: showing up for your body is proof to yourself that you'll keep your word, which reinforces your identity pillar. So, my business coach told all of us that we need to start with 5 daily non negotiables. And if you don't do them, you have to be honest. You can't ask a question. So, those daily non negotiables, you can make your own if you want. But I mean, waking up at the same time every morning, reading 10 pages every morning, sweating for 45 minutes a day, reviewing your goals 3 times a day, outreach, contacting 5 new people every single day, and sharing your story, right? Posting at least 5 times a day or once, doesn't matter. LinkedIn posts, Facebook, Instagram, making YouTube. Start doing those every single day. Non-negotiable. That's like the bare minimum. If you struggle with doing the absolute bare minimum, you're really going to take a long time to accomplish anything. So Thursday is wealth. We focus on wealth. Wealth isn't built in the big dramatic moments. It's built in the small decisions no one else ever sees. So most founders avoid financial clarity because clarity requires facing numbers that might be uncomfortable. So here's a few talking points. What decision am I avoiding because it's uncomfortable, not because it's actually unclear? Revenue is lagging. Revenue is a lagging indicator of health, not health itself. A great month can hide a broken week underneath it. Wealth building requires the discipline pillar and the identity pillar working together. I'm going to say that one more time because it's very important. I'm going to make sure that my camera's still running here. Wealth building requires the discipline pillar and the identity pillar working together. You can't out earn a scarcity identity. So here's the challenge of the week for that pillar. Look at one number you've been avoiding, one account, one report, one invoice, and deal with it before next Sunday. Reminder, the goal isn't more, the goal is a standard that doesn't collapse the first time a number looks bad. You know, a lot of people ignore their bank accounts and they ignore. You should eventually create an AI agent that can monitor all your bank statements for you and give you daily updates of money in, money out, profit and loss statements. You'll always know exactly where you're at. Friday, we talk about business. So the business is a mirror of the operator. Whatever you tolerate in yourself, your own personal life, shows up in how the business runs. Growth doesn't come from doing more. It comes from removing the bottlenecks that only you can see because you're inside them. Here's a few talking points. What am I tolerating in my business that I would never tolerate from myself? You guys should take a moment and write that down. What am I tolerating in my business that I would never tolerate from myself? Next, buy back your time principle. If a task doesn't require specific judgment or relationships, it shouldn't be on your plate. Delegate, delegate, delegate. If a task doesn't require your specific judgment or relationships, it shouldn't be on your plate. Delegation isn't a luxury for later, it's the mechanism that lets the other 6 pillars actually exist in your life. So here's a challenge for the week. Identify one task you're still doing that someone else could do at 80% of your quality and hand it off. 80% of nothing. 80% is way better than 0%. Can't remember the exact saying, but believe me, If you can have somebody do 80% of your job, that is an absolute win. If you're only involved 20% of the time, rather than being 100% involved, that is how you properly delegate. The business can't grow the operator's standard. So this pillar always comes back to the identity pillar. Saturday's relationships is such a crucial one. No standard survives in isolation. The people around you either reinforce it or quietly erode it. Founders are notorious for sacrificing relationships for the business, then wondering why success feels hollow. So here's a couple of talking points. Who have I taken for granted this month? And what would it actually cost me to reach out? As need to be reaching out. You guys need a really strong sales acquisition channel, networking channel. They all tie in together. You need to have a calendar block. At least once a week, you're meeting somebody face to face. Create opportunities. I used to have a quote at the bottom of my signature line for years. If opportunity doesn't knock, build a door. If opportunity doesn't knock, that just means if you're just waiting around for a sale to come in, build the opportunity, create the opportunity. I hosted these walks. The amount of people that I've met, right? 52 walks a year. On average, we're having like 5 to 10 people per walk. Sometimes it's 1 or 2, sometimes it's 15 or 20. Think about it. Think about all those people that I've met in person. And it's not just at a random meetup, it's something that I'm actually the host of. Yes, it's free. Yes, I walked many, 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 many kilometers without seeing any immediate return. But then it comes, and then you have that steady flow of relationships and connections. It's amazing. You guys just need to start. So founders are notorious for sacrificing relationships for their business, then wondering why success feels hollow. We just said that. So who have I taken for granted this month, and what would it actually cost me to reach out? Literally, we just finished explaining that. Absolutely nothing. You can have I have a sales AI Claude cowork agent named Sammy. Sammy vets, skims the internet for my perfect avatar. He drafts up 10 emails in my Gmail every single morning. It's part of my CEO weekly briefing. And guess what I do? It has everything in there that I want my cold emails to include, all the links. I skim it. I look at who are they actually drafting up an email for. I look into them really quick and I hit send. It's amazing. Over and over and over and over. You do 5 a day. What is 5 times 365? I have no clue. It's like 1,500, 2,000 people, right? So that's just one acquisition channel you guys need to understand for building relationships. So the people closest to you can tell when you're present versus when you're just physically in the room. So think about this. This is like absolutely mind-blowing. When you're not being productive, you're not getting any returns. You're not building up momentum, none of that. When you're actually at an event or with a family, at a family gathering, you aren't present because you're thinking about all these things still. Like, man, I need to figure this out. Think about when you get to the point when you're like, I've created a system and I've figured it out. Now I can relax because like stuff is going on and working for me. When you're the only person that needs to create results, it is hard to focus, guys. It's very difficult to focus. But when you can build up a system that is working 24/7, you can actually shut off and relax. So the version of success that costs you your relationships isn't actually success. It's just a well-funded version of loneliness. I like that quote. So Sunday, that brings us to this evening's call. Sunday is our reflection day. This is the day that we audit our week. This is tonight, the pause before the push, the only pillar that exists to look backward before moving forward. Most people never stop long enough to actually learn from their week. They just react to the next one, and then the next one, and then the next one. So, what did this past week teach me? And what am I carrying into the next one? The assessment that I have live on jointhefounderstandard.com is a great thing to even do once a week, just because it lets you know where you're at. Was I more disciplined this week? Was I lazy this week? Right? Was I in line with my identity? Did I completely ignore my goals? It's a really good assessment to regularly do. So reflection isn't about guilt over what didn't happen. It's about honest data collection on what actually worked. So gratitude is the fastest way to reset perspective before a new week starts. So write this down. Name 3 things that went right. Doesn't matter how small. If you guys open up the Founder Toolkit, we use it all the time. We have the exact same thing in there. Write down 3 things that went well and write down 3 things that didn't go well. Be mindful of it. Challenge for the week: 5 minutes every night. Same 3 questions. What worked? What didn't? And what is one adjustment I will make for this week? Just a quick reminder: the founders who last aren't the ones, the founders who last aren't the ones who never fall behind. They're the ones who reflect fast and reset faster. I have a closing challenge. Pick one pillar, not all 7, just pick one. Pick the one you've been avoiding the most. That is your focus this week. Not because the others don't matter, but because standards are built one at a time, under pressure when it's inconvenient. The standard doesn't move just because the week got hard. So, quick reminder: pull out the Founder Toolkit and work through even just one tool this week. It's a great exercise of learning more about yourself and tracking your progress over time. Don't try to do all 20 at once. You can work through the entire thing if you want, over a weekend or over a day. Don't try to do all 20 at once. Pick one, make it a habit, and build from there. It's totally up to you guys how you guys work. Some people just like to get everything done. Some people do just like to do one at a time. They're crucial. They're absolutely crucial to really fully understand yourself. And top of mind, like, one of the daily non-negotiables: review your goals 3 times a day. Why are we reviewing our goals 3 times a day? You always want it top of mind. So anytime you have a moment where you're going to be complacent, not disciplined, lazy, depressed, whatever it is, when your goals are constantly there, it's a it's so top of mind. It's like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like, no, I can't sit down and binge watch Netflix. Like, I have these awesome goals that if I accomplish them, my life will be completely transformed. Very important. So I do have a call to action. Founders Elite, it is not called the Founders Elite. But if tonight resonated, this is exactly the kind of work we go deeper on inside the Founders. Business coaching is what it's most likely going to be called, our paid coaching program. So guys, I just want to let you guys know we are heavily developing a paid AI school community that is really everything that we're teaching in this free community, how we can use agents. It's going to be the sole purpose, how we can create our own little ecosystem of agents, because it's coming and we need to accept it to help support us and lessen the overwhelm. Very, very powerful system that we've created for ourselves and our team. So this is going to be built around implementing AI directly into your business, including building your own team of AI agents, plus a deeper dive into all 7 pillars beyond what we covered on this free call. Weekly live implementation calls, real hands-on work, not just theory. And then what we're doing right now is, because of course it's new, we need to get a kickstarted limited offer. First 10 founders sign up 50% off. So to claim it, DM me privately. I will not post the discount publicly. So let's get into Q&A. What's the pillar you're choosing tonight, and what's getting in the way of it? And let me just hold on there for a second. And you know what? I'm going to be publishing this to my YouTube. So that's essentially the notes that we're reading there. So Q&A. Also, we are hosting this call inside schools video calls. It has a completely different setup to Zoom calls, which I use regularly for other business coaching, which I quite like. You can have a large chat, you can raise your hand. I don't know how school is set up, to be honest with you. So we are eventually going to test out a couple of them. And if these don't work as well as Zoom does, because we pay for a paid prescription, subscription rather, called read.ai, I believe it is. So we'll record it and it'll make notes. This school platform, we're testing it out. You can automatically download it into our community for simplicity. It does have limitations. So as far as Q&A, for people that might be watching this on YouTube, feel free to comment a question and I will do my best to answer it as well. Let's get into Q&A.